Alcoholism. It's so easy to get started, but virtually impossible to finish. A lot of people never finish because they die. Why is it so easy to start? I think we all know that, don't we? It's very socially acceptable to drink. Everywhere you can drink, virtually. So when you're young and you're just starting out in life, there's a drink for every occasion, isn't it? And then you get pressurised maybe a little bit. It just seems to be the normal thing to do. You know, start going on holiday, drink a bit more. And it's not something which is frowned upon. And there's lots of warnings in schools, universities about drugs, even by the police, which I was in, you know, don't take drugs, it's so bad for you. And all. Nobody was ever warned about alcohol, which is a drug in itself, isn't it? Probably the worst drug because it's so available and so addictive. So it's very easy to start drinking. It's very easy for it to become a habit. Even when you're not completely hooked, it's still difficult to stop, to slow down even, you know, because you go a couple of days and think, well, oh, I fancy a drink again. Everyone else is out and about having a drink. People make excuses, oh, it's a lovely summer's day. Let's go for a drink. Oh, it's a cold winter's day, let's go to a nice cosy pub with a roaring fire. It's all the same. The pubs will always be open there for you. So it's very easy to get into because as long as you've got some ID, you can buy alcohol anywhere, 24 hours a day now. You can get from the local garage, local, you know, corner shop. There's 24-hour supermarkets. Anywhere you can get drink. I used to use a company called Dial a Drink when I was really at the bottom of things, and they would deliver between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. So you've got all this availability of it. And once you get a little bit into the habit of it, it becomes a social norm, and you know, you get into a regular pattern, you see the same people, you maybe go out as a couple, have a few drinks. I never drank any wine, but you know, a bottle of wine, a few beers. It just goes on from there, doesn't it? You go on holiday, drink a bit more. People drink at the airport. There's not something which has ever, nobody puts a hand up and says, stop, no drinks. And then when you get into it, you get a little bit more into it, you get hangovers and all this sort of thing, and then you get addicted to it. And some people are addicted more than others. There are some people I know who drink very, very heavily, who can go for a day or so without having a drink. They don't need any medical intervention. If you're really dependent on it, then you do need medical intervention. So don't stop unless you've consulted a medic. And then, to go into my story a little bit, when you're addicted to it, you can come off, and I tended to relapse again because I thought I had control of it. So for me, it was an impossible situation because I was so addicted to it, it was my whole life. And it is for a lot of other people, and that's why people die. Now, you will hear some people say that alcohol-related deaths are on the decrease. Well, actually on the increase. And younger people are drinking more. But they're also mixing that with drugs. I never took any drugs. There wasn't the availability of drugs when I was younger. Especially where I lived initially as a teenager, it was the northeast. There wasn't a lot of drugs in Northumberland where I was. When I went to London at 21, there was a little bit more availability then. But alcohol's always been there, it's still there, and it's actually there more now because of opening hours. I think it was 1997 or so when the pubs started to open all day. Not all of them, but a lot of the city centre ones did. And there's a few chains of pubs that are very cheap here, and they're open from 9 a.m, 8 a.m, 9 a.m. And there are people in there, and that time I've been in before, I was in a pub not long ago, about 9:30, I think, in the morning, just for a cup of coffee. There was a few people in there, maybe 20, 30 people having drinks. And some people are so down with their lives and depressed and bored that they go to the pub, and then they're addicted, aren't they? So when you try and get off it, there's numerous ways that I tried to get off it. I did try AA, that wasn't for me. I had a few strong moments when I stopped for a long time, but I relapsed. That's the danger of relapsing. And it wasn't until 2019 when I was seriously ill that I thought, wow, this has got to stop. I mean, the doctors have told me before, cut down, have a break from it, stop if you can. I've been on diazepam a few times. A lot of people won't stop or can't stop. It's a mind-altering drug, isn't it? And when you've been off it, this is the problem I think with relapse. You have this vision of everything's going to be rosy back in the pub again. I've got my life back and all this sort of thing. The pub's always going to be open for you. You'll always find somewhere to drink. So when you try and stop, you'll have this boredom factor, which a lot of people have. What am I going to do? You've got to make a plan if you want to stop, and you've got to plan it so you've got something else to do in the times you were drinking. Because you think how much time you spend planning to drink, drinking and recovering, it's a massive amount of time. You've got to find another hobby or something. You can't just say, right, Monday morning I'm going to stop drinking, because it won't work. You've got to have a plan of action. My plan was initiated by the medics who said, if you drink again, you will be dead in 6 months. That was my plan. There's no deviation from that. You have to stop or you'll die. And there's other people I know who've had exactly the same ultimatum, who've been in hospital, had procedures, done all sorts, including liver transplants, who've gone out and drunk again. And it was quite a remarkable figure that some rehabs, private rehabs, have a success rate of only 10%. Because I spoke to one of the liver specialists when I was in the hospital 4 years ago, I think it was. I was in there for weeks. And it was his rounds on a Sunday, and he had a bit of time to chat, and he said, it's just the power of addiction. He said he knew, a few people recently had come into the hospital, been there for weeks and weeks and weeks. They'd gone out and relapsed, and then they died very quickly, because your body can't cope with the relapse, apparently. Every time you relapse, it gets worse. So you come off just say for, say a year, and you think you're all fine and dandy. You look a bit better, you got a bit more money, you be in the gym, you eat a little bit more healthily. And then you think, just have one. This is the problem, there's just the one, the first one. They did mention this at a couple of these groups I've been to. You just have one. Now you think one, you have one. I'm not overemphasise this. When I had been off for a couple of years, I was going out, and I was always a bit anxious when I stopped drinking. That's stopped for a long time. I'm not anxious still now. But you feel a bit anxious, you think, well, I'm going to go out. I don't really want to go in the pub atmosphere. I'll have one before I go out. And I'd had this drink, I'd been off for about 2 years. I had this bottle in my cupboard. I always kept a little bit of beer, even though I wasn't drinking, just in case. I don't know what was going to happen to me, but just in case. And I cracked this bottle open, Belgian lager, Stella it was, I think. And I drank it. It was like a drug being injected into my body. I felt incredibly at peace just from one drink. So I thought, I've got control of this. Had a couple more that night, and didn't have any the next couple of days. And then I thought, I'm fine now, and get back into what I used to do. I'd go to the pub, maybe go at lunchtime, watch the football, the usual things that we all do, all want to do. And there's no need to do that. There's so much more to do. But I got straight back into it. And within 6 months, that's always been my time period. I go from 0, and 6 months later, I'm back to square one and beyond back, if that makes sense, because my body can't cope with it. So easy to get into, but so difficult to get out of. And as I said earlier, some people can never get out of it, because it's like, I heard it described once as, it's like falling off a cliff and not being able to get back onto it again, onto the edge again. You realise just too late that you're an alcoholic. You think you're a problem drinker, well, you know you are, because you spend all your money and all your time in the pub. You live in the pub. I said that to one of my mates the other day. He sent me a photograph of a pint and a bar stool, and I said, you're in the pub again, aren't you? He said, how do you know? How do you know I haven't taken the photograph from outside the pub? I said, because you live in pubs. That's all he does. He goes from 9 a.m. till midnight every single day. I don't know where he gets the money from. However, this is so difficult to escape. The only way you're going to do it is by a very strong will and a very strong want to stop. Forget about people telling you to stop, stop, stop. It's only down to the individual. You can help people, try and help people, give them advice. It's the person themselves who've got to want to stop. And there's two things actually. It was obviously the doctors mentioned that. And the other one, which really was very heartfelt, was when my daughter said, if you die, there'll be no one to walk me down the aisle. That was really bad for me. So if you enjoy the videos, please subscribe. And if you want anything covered, any particular topic, then drop me a line, and have a good day. I'll speak to you soon.